these 3 questions. I know I'm putting you on the spot a bit, but I want you to answer these 3 questions, and I'll share that again. And then we'll have Brandon, Todd, Sarah, and if Chase comes on, he'll give you some feedback.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Haley Conley. I'm the manager for local R&B artist Jay Warren. He's a recording artist, he's a performer, he's a vocalist, he's a singer-songwriter. He's also a role model. I think a lot of aspiring artists or just celebrities have the role of being an influencer of sorts. People care just by the nature of music. When it's done well, which Jay does very well, it has the it's able to be aspirational and can give words to experiences that people are going through, which can be really powerful. And Jay specifically has done that. His data has shown that he's doing that well. His debut album went #1 when it debuted back in September. So people have shown they care. People are showing that it's resonating. He has 50 million streams. As far as a specific digital strategy that we've come up with, the majority of our marketing strategy revolves around content. That content that we're putting forth is really strategic in that it has an element of gamification. It's really designed to help his audience feel ownership of his brand, like they're helping to kind of come up with the decisions and helping launch his career. We also try to utilize the entire arts community in Utah as well as other artists. Obviously, we're banking on an element of virality. It's not the whole strategy, but we are hoping that just by sheer quantity, something gets picked up in the algorithm that's designed for that. As far as like the actual digital marketing strategy, so up to this point, he's been releasing music for 3 years. And we've had enough money to create the assets, but not a lot of money to actually spend towards ad spend. So we're hoping to come up with some investment dollars that we can utilize towards that and really target his demographic, which we have nicknamed Chelsea. She's between 18 and 30 if she's single. She's female. There's a lot of other specifications, but we nickname her Chelsea, and really targeting the other music lovers that like similar artists as him. We also really he has a large demographic on Spotify, which hasn't necessarily transferred over to socials or to our email list. And so what we're hoping to do, which I guess technically it kind of seems like a retainment effort, but it is an acquisition effort in bringing them over to a channel where we can really get them to engage and convert. And so we have a whole retargeting strategy designed with that. As far as next steps, we want to make sure that if we're throwing ad dollars, we have all of our ducks in a row as far as really refining that content strategy. I know I threw out a couple high-level ideas, but we want to make sure that sorry, I have a child that just popped in to say hi and give me some flowers. We really want to make sure that we refine that strategy, and then also making sure that all of our ducks in a row are in a row as far as making sure that we have the tools to capture those those email addresses and to really kind of capture their engagement on our social platforms from the get-go. Does that answer the 3 questions?
I think you nailed it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay.
And I saw maybe Jay jumped on here as well, so that's exciting too. So Sarah, Brandon, Todd, and I believe that Chase jumped on as well. The intent now is for you to ask some quick questions and start giving some feedback on what Haley said in terms of customer acquisition strategy. So Sarah, do you want to kick things off?
All right, Haley, so you talked about really wanting to capture those emails. What are the various tools or like software platforms? How is it you are trying to get to really acquire those? And then my other follow-up question was, you had talked specifically about with your digital marketing or with your messaging, that he has very strong brand messaging to the target demographic. Um, can you elaborate on that a little bit more? Maybe like high level, like the top two things that that you would say the brand itself represents.
Sure. As far as the email capturing software, we use MailChimp. We have a landing page where we capture email addresses, and that we've utilized email marketing in the past. So every time he's done a show, we've been sure when they purchase tickets, we're able to use those and add those to our database. We send out a plethora of emails in anticipation of every release, and then we also continue to send weekly emails after the release just to continue that momentum. And then I believe your next question was kind of brand messaging. Jay's really big on, I already mentioned this already, but really giving words to people's experiences. And I think that's definitely the strategy. I don't know if you wanted to know specifically our strategic content strategy where I mentioned gamification. Is that what you were referencing?
Yeah.
Okay. So gamification, I think the easiest way to describe this is, I don't know if you guys have followed Taylor Swift's career, but she's a marketing genius because she has been really strategic with her. She's always like 5 steps ahead of everybody. She plants Easter eggs in every content piece that she releases. And it's become a game. It's been really fun for her audience to kind of theorize and they like make something into something that could be there. It probably is there because, like I said, she's a genius and really ahead of the curve. But it's become a game for her audience, and it's become really big topics on the internet before her releases even come out. So the gamification, that's that. Also the ownership. We can obviously market to an audience and they'll be interested, but we feel like if we help them feel ownership by maybe, for example, like picking the cover art, we give them a couple options and they help come up with the cover art, or perhaps they come up with a specific lyric or the song title or the overall brand color or aesthetic for that release, that and maybe we even utilize some of them to come up with that exact art. It becomes like it's not just Jay's brand, it's their brand, it's everyone's brand, and so they're more incentivized to share it, or they're more incentivized to share it with others because they're so bought in at that point.
Taylor, do you want me to give feedback currently right now? Or do you want to have the other guys ask questions?
Yep, give some feedback, and then the other experts will feedback after that.
Okay, so Haley, one of the things that I would just tell you to consider is how you are going to take within the digital marketing space. There are larger platforms that can better host and house email marketing lists and strategy with that. Something that I would suggest is possibly in a pitch fest, if you were pitching for raising funds, I would strongly encourage you to show, like, from a marketing standpoint, how that might look, maybe upgrading from MailChimp, not that MailChimp is bad, but giving people more opportunities to opt into your brand. And my other suggestion would definitely be, so you've already done a great job with naming your avatar. And I hate using the term avatar because it's just gross. And because you do need to be familiar with what it is your the experience that your client is having with your brand, and really aware of the pitfalls that maybe they would go through in order to interact with your brand. And you want to be able to overcome those pitfalls as quickly and seamlessly as possible. So the fact that you've already named your client, essentially, Chelsea, it's already giving that person, because you really have to think of that customer as an individual. It's giving them a name, it's giving them a personality, it's giving them an opportunity to interact with your brand and for you to connect to them personally and individually. So I really like that. And I think your ideas of gamification I think that's right on with the uh, with going with it. I would come up with very specific examples, at least in your mind, of what those specifically, how you are doing that. Because once we know like specifically how you're doing that, then it makes it really easy to grow from there. And this is something I'll talk about in my presentation, but it does, I do think that that's, there's a grading system, and it's how are you going to grade yourself? It's not pass fail. It's how do I move from a 3 to a 5? How do I move from to this? So I would say showing what you're doing now and what your strategy would be, possibly either with more funds or different things like that.
Okay, that's
Awesome.
great feedback.
Thanks, Sarah. Brandon, I was just wondering if you have any thoughts on how Haley and Jay could be using paid search in their campaigns.
So Taylor, I don't know that paid search is a good fit. I know that paid social certainly might be, because I know that there's a strong social strategy here. There could be search volume, and we'll talk later about how you could look into that and see, is there a case for paid search? Although I really do think that this is the kind of thing that you didn't know you wanted it until you found it, which generally means it's a better fit for social. Because there's not people actively looking for this, but I could be wrong. It is intriguing to me to think about this because I haven't done anything in the music industry, and of course it's going to be very different than a traditional business. The one thing that I would say, for the purpose of a pitch, I think is especially important from the digital marketing strategy standpoint, is to focus on specific outcomes. I think it's easy to focus on top of funnel, making sure that you get people there. But I think that a little bit harder and a little bit more aligned with a paid media strategy is to make sure that you have a clear conversion funnel for where exactly someone goes after they actually become interested in this music. What are your options to monetize that person that appreciates this brand? And how much money are you going to make from those things? And how can you bring people into the top of the funnel that are more likely to take those steps at the bottom of the funnel? Because when you shift from an organic standpoint, when you're talking about organic marketing, anything you get, at least the way I think of it, it's basically free. If that video happened to get seen by twice as many people as you anticipated, you didn't pay extra money for that to happen. It just kind of happened. So if you don't get people that are your exact targets, then it's more or less fine, because it's organic. But when it comes to paid, you definitely need to focus on bringing the right kind of people in the top who are more likely to take actions further down in the funnel. And that's just where having a clear conversion funnel so that you can optimize at those points rather than just getting the inventory scraps, so to speak, at the top of the funnel, because you're not optimizing for meaningful actions, I think will be really important in terms of actually monetizing the traffic.
Okay.
That's awesome. Thanks, Brandon. I'm trying to see if Randy, yes, Randy, you are on. I want to shift gears, Haley, from what you're doing with Jay to one of the other contestants with Randy. Randy, can you hear me? Are you on?
I can. I unmuted. Can you guys hear me? Great.
Awesome. Okay, Randy, I'm going to give you the challenge to answer these 3 questions in 30 seconds each. So you have a minute and a half to answer each question.
Okay, so we have a mobile app. It's called Exopa. And Exopa started, I am working, my name is Randy Stidman Moore. Sorry, I'll introduce myself. I'm working with my daughter, Danielle Moore, who is on. She is being broadcast from Florida. And we have a mobile app called Exopa. And Exopa came about because Danielle, who is in college and has a background in professional dance, and a lot of her friends are very active on social media. One would say some of them are influencers. They've got many, many followers. She watched them spend hours direct messaging on social media so they could collaborate with other creatives. So this app fills a niche in the market that is at the moment not there, which is a way for two creatives to meet, to connect, and to collaborate. And that could be in their hometown, or it could be if they're traveling, if one is going to LA and they want to meet up. So it's really taking the legwork out of that type of creative collaboration. We are in the beginning stages. And of course, with a mobile app like this, the most important is getting people to use it, is traction, and getting people excited, getting people signed up, wait lists, having the marketing where people are even aware that it exists. So we have different marketing firms around the country that is working with us, and they fill niches and they fill areas that we are not familiar with, such as the music industry, modeling agencies, and just regular creatives that would be interested in using this app. We have a lot of code. We're working on an MVP, but again, it's getting those customers to get waitlisted, to sign up. And I'm a photographer and filmmaker, so I have 25 years of experience in that field. So I have that experienced type of creative, where my daughter fills in the other field, which is the younger professional social media, on TikTok, on Instagram, some models, some dancers. So we're both kind of combining our strengths together, working off each other. The next steps we will take is building that MVP, but again, getting a wait list, and not just using the regular social media. We're creating videos that we're putting on TikTok. I'm starting a podcast called Exopa. Any which way that we can get the word out and get people excited about it is how to really get that traction with an app.
Awesome. Okay. Chase, I saw you jump on. I'm wondering if you could give some feedback, and then Todd also jump in. She was saying some things that I think may fit with what you've done in the past. So Chase, do you have maybe a question and some feedback for what Randy's doing?
Yeah, absolutely, Randy. Nice to meet you. That's awesome. Sounds like a great app. I guess a couple quick questions. First of all, you'd mentioned that you have some marketing agencies that are doing some marketing for you. Are they like doing native ads? Like what type of marketing that they're actually doing for you right now?
Yeah, so we're in the beginning stages. So we're talking with them as to what is the best avenue to use their type of marketing. So we're kind of tossing up different ideas on how to get how to get that customer base, how to get that in front of people. So, the obvious is like Facebook and Instagram, but we're really looking outside of those and looking at different ways. One of them is, which is my strength, is video. So creating video content and having it put on things like TikTok, and where a lot of people can see it and possibly have it go viral, or that type of thing. So our marketing is really in the beginning stages, and getting those email customers. We would love to get a wait list before the MVP comes out. So that kind of builds that momentum and makes it a little more exclusive, kind of the way Clubhouse has that whole psychological part of it where everyone is trying to get on. I mean, we want the users, but we also want them to think of it as something really important and exclusive.
Yeah, so a couple quick follow-up questions, and then I have a couple pieces of advice for you. So number one, what's the timeline of the MVP? And then secondly, how do you actually plan to monetize?
Monetizing, that's a great question. And we have so many different areas of monetization. So we have a design team in Boston that is all ready to do the MVP. And right now we have it tentatively planned to begin in June. So we're hoping to have the MVP done in about 6-week time. So sometime in the summer. And we hope the timing of that is also good in terms of creatives wanting to collaborate in person. Monetization, and I think my daughter is on as well, Danielle Moore. If she wants to talk about this, we have about 10, 12 different strategies of monetization. Is Danielle on here? I know she's coming in from Miami.
I am. Hi. Yeah, everything you said about monetization is great. One thing I would like to add on to that is, as someone who has seen social media apps grow firsthand, I've seen so many apps try to monetize with subscription services, and I think that's something that we definitely want to look into. There's also like paid collaborations where two people can both pay to collaborate with each other, and I think that's also a great option as well. It all depends on what works best with just like as we grow and as we expand. So I think we're going to look into everything.
Awesome.
If creatives are working together, it's not going to be something like Airbnb where you don't even feel that fee-based collaboration. So it's going to be such a minimal fee that they're not going to feel it the way a lot of people don't feel their subscriptions every month, although it does add up. Also could be modeling agencies that does a casting. Anything that connects creatives together is an option for us to use as a platform.
Which I love. Yeah, I would say first things first before you do anything from a digital marketing strategy is to understand monetization. So you can actually understand what CPA do you need to acquire. But to Brandon's point earlier, this is definitely more a disruptive form of marketing. So a lot of the social side is going to be your best friend, native ads, and then there's probably a lot of B2B stuff that you can do with some of those existing platforms because they're looking for additional value for their customers. But yeah, I think first things first, before like nailing down a finite digital marketing strategy, you have to understand what are your margins, how are you going to actually monetize, that way you can know what CPA to potentially acquire. And I think it's great. Collecting emails is a good way to lower that CPA off the bat. So that's awesome. Looking forward to seeing this app.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sounds very exciting, and congratulations on getting that far. What do you have scoped out so far for the MVP, and what would be the first revenue opportunity that you would pursue if you had the means?
I wish I had the computer to show you our mind map, because we actually have the whole thing mapped out, and I can email that to you privately. So there's a lot of apps that are business to consumer, such as a business representing the consumer in a creative marketing branding type. But there's no app at the moment that is consumer to consumer or creative to creative. So each creative will have a link to their social media, potentially a portfolio or a link to their portfolio. And most importantly, there's going to be vision boards and chat rooms. So for instance, I'm going to New York as a model, and I'd like to work with a photographer to increase my, my brand on Instagram. And so it's both creatives are benefiting from that unity together. And instead of that model spending hours direct messaging 50 photographers to work with, that way they both have a desire to work together, and it's also cuts a lot of time out of it as well.
If you could name 3 competitors or 1 competitor, who's the biggest competitor today?
What would you say, Danny? We have this on, we've been researching this at great length. Maybe creatively, I would say
a lot of the new social media apps that are coming out are more of a competitor than already established brands, such as Clubhouse or
Definitely.
just like, yeah, just even just like new social media apps. I know there's one called Paparazzi that just came out. I think those would be higher competitively than brands that already are established and exist for us.
I think those competitors are always hugely important to see what they're doing right and what you can do better. So certainly some competitive analysis there. I didn't find a website right off. It's pretty straightforward. I think between the two of you, you get a site up on WordPress and get something up there and a few content articles to start. I think there's the tendency to lean towards building the wait list and just kind of building that sense of unknown and kind of the fear of missing out. But there's also a lot of value in building out your site ahead of time before the launch. So if that site ahead of time is just content that you've created that's valuable to the audience, a lot of times there's benefit in building out the links, the equity of the site, and the content ahead of that launch.
No, thank you. I'm working on the site right now with a designer. So yes, thank you for mentioning that.
It's hard to do the app and the site and everything all at once. I know.
No, the site is important. I totally forgot to mention it, but thank you.
Yeah. Randy, it took me almost a year to get a website up for this group. So I hear you that it's tough to do all of those things at once. So thanks, Chase. Thanks, Todd. That's great feedback. I want to move on to one of the next contestants. Stephanie Sims has logged on, and this one for me is a little bit selfish because I also want to use what she's developed for the Midday Connect. So I'm just being selfish here. Stephanie, basically what we're doing is answering these questions. I'm going to share the screen again so you can see them. But what I'd like is for you to be able to answer each of these in 30 seconds or less. So telling us what you do, for who, why they care, and how are you different. Like if you can do that in 1, maybe 2 sentences, you're rocking it. And then answer the other 2 as succinctly as possible, and we'll have the 4 panel members feedback.
Okay, and thank you for being patient as I made my way to the event today. So I'm here talking today about the ask line, which Taylor told me to be very careful to enunciate the K at the end because it could be misconstrued. The ask line is a place for people to make meaningful connections when we're in a digitally or a physically separated world, right? So this all came out of the pandemic. This is kind of a heart project that we created to help people who couldn't get together in person find ways to connect meaningfully with each other. And the goal is to have them do that instead of being focused on trying to sell each other, to do it around a reciprocal give and a reciprocal ask. So we're really focused on making those meaningful connections in a way that we can help people help each other, and knowing that will lead to interesting and fruitful relationships down the road. Unlike, and I know I should say this, unlike handing out your business card or other apps that simply allow you to exchange contact information, we're there to facilitate the connection between people around a specific issue that one or the other is facing. So that's my answer to question 1. Do you want me to answer the other 2, or do you want me to pause there?
No, answer the other 2 as quick as you can.
Oh, okay, perfect. So the specific digital marketing strategy that we're using to get new customers right now is working with event organizers to acquire all of their event participants, knowing that if people have an exciting experience on the ask line, they will then start to share their cards, which is the heart of the ask line functionality, on social from within the platform, and that will drive traffic to the product from the outside. The next 2 steps that we're taking to execute that strategy is we're already in discussions with multiple event coordinators to have the product betaed at different events, and the functionality on social is already available. You can actually see the product at theaskline.com. Boom. Thank you, Taylor. Taylor. I don't know why I say Taylor.
No problem. I pulled this up just because I think it's so cool. Like, I want to have a line for the Midday Connect. I see some people from Pivot. I see some like Vic, like having a start line or a pivot line, I think would be awesome to be able to have everybody in your network providing a give and an ask that they have of that network. So I just wanted to throw this up so people can see what's going on. Of the four, Chase, Brandon, Todd, and Sarah, which one of you guys want to ask a question or give feedback first? Just unmute yourself and go. Seriously.
Okay, I'll ask. Oh, sorry, Sarah. We're at the same time. I said, I'll ask the question everybody's thinking. Monetization, what does it look like?
So the monetization strategy is that your first event as an organizer is free, but since we will be providing metrics to event organizers about the quality and the quantity of connections that they will be generating, future events and access to that data across events is going to be a paid platform. Most likely a SaaS, but we're still developing that with our partners.
Stephanie, I think you're doing the best thing that customer acquisition can do. Your first hit is free. I've heard that works really well in some other industries, but that's awesome.
Thank you.
So I like that too. So basically all of your marketing is going to be in a B2B kind of context, right? Is there a B2C play here long term, or is your whole game events and that's how you're going to build this?
Well, we see this is the eternal startup struggle, right? We know we've got to start somewhere, we've got to dominate or at least make a name for ourselves in that event, in that industry. But we see this as being something that could be used inside companies. We think there's a lot of additional monetization opportunities down the road. My personal experience is B2B, which is why I'm more comfortable in that space. But I think if we could find a B2C strategy for monetization, we would certainly be open to it. But I'm not sure that we've stumbled across it yet, and we just don't have enough users right now to tell us whether or not that's going to be an option.
Stephanie, another place where I would tell you would be a good place to start is we are part of several like mastermind groups, and in the mastermind space, which is all B2B, it isn't a pitch fest. That's not the point of those. And so in every mastermind I'm a part of, which there are 7 of them currently, nobody, that's the big thing you always do is what's your give and what's your ask. And so I think that there's some strong play there, but again, being able to show that in a way, I would also tell you to story brand this out and get yourself a one-liner. Like, it's got to be boom, 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 boom. Here's what I do.
Okay.
Here's what this does and how it'll change your life.
Okay. Thank you.
I love that feedback, Sarah. I would give that to all of the contestants. Like, if you can answer that first question that I have on this slide in one sentence, that's critical. Like, who's your customer? What do you do? Why do they care?
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, I think marketing automation is probably going to be key for you here, where you're getting those initial databases, especially with that freemium model. That's how companies capitalize on it. So again, get that database for free. I love that. And then make sure you're actually having solid marketing automation in line so you can breadcrumb them to the next conversion. But it's rad. Looking forward to seeing it.
Thank you.
And kudos to you, Taylor, for being selfish.
Oh, I know, right?
Just kidding.
Well, I want to see this going. Like, I think it would be cool, and I'm not going to take your job, Haley, by any means, because it's probably a bad idea. But a Jay Warren give and ask line, just
Totally.
getting all the listeners in one place.
Yeah. My head is spinning. I actually just wrote Jay. I'm like, this is the best idea ever. Yeah.
Sarah, do you mind just maybe adding to what Chase said on marketing automation? I know you've got 3 campaigns that you guys run. Like if Stephanie were to start, what are the first 3 marketing automation campaigns she runs?
Okay, so that's something that I was just I was typing in as Chase was talking. And when I said there's some gangster stuff with this product you could do, if you're acquiring email lists, then you have got to get, like, when it comes to marketing automation, you're going to have to get gangster with this, meaning you are going to have to learn exactly how to say what it is you're doing in 2 to 3 emails, and be able to get people to opt in immediately to this and why they will want to do it. So you're going to need copywriters for sure. Nobody should be doing that alone. Everybody, if you aren't investing in copywriters, do it. It's well worth your money. The other thing that I would tell you is that, so the 3 campaigns, marketing email wise, that I tell every single business they must have are an indoctrination campaign. An indoctrination campaign does not sell, but it does tell, and it gives people multiple ways that they can connect with you. It does it over 2 to 3 emails. So you are not asking them to do 102 things in one email. You are asking them to do maybe 1, maybe 2 at most, in ways to connect with you. Then the other campaign that I tell everybody they must have is a cross-sell, downsell. Once they've opted into your world, whether or not they take action, you need a cross-sell, downsell, and that is a must-have. And again, it is one thing. You are not selling them 20 or selling them everything else under the sun. It's one thing. And then the last one is long-term nurture. You need an opportunity to be able to slow drip. And what I will tell you with all of these campaigns, other than indoctrination, so long-term nurture and cross-sell, downsell, is sell something, for heaven's sakes. Do not keep your mouth shut. You must sell something. Make money.
It's all about the money. Sarah, you're the most gangster person I know.
I'm trying really hard not to swear on this call, Taylor.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I have a mouth like a sailor.
Sweet. Todd, any thoughts before we move on to the next pitch contestant?
I think I would just echo the single thing in an email. It's really tempting to try to do more than one thing. That single call to action, test one thing at a time, and you get a lot better feedback a lot of times.
Love it. Love it. Thanks, Todd. So the next person I want to have and put on the hot seat, Aaron Weist. Am I saying your last name right? Weist? Aaron Weist?
So close. It's Weist.
Ah, so close. Aaron, I'm choosing you because your picture on Zoom is my favorite one so far. So when she turns her camera off, everybody has to look at that picture because it was awesome.
Not right now.
So Sarah, I'm going to pull up. Yeah, there it is.
4 of my 5 kids. The teenager did not want to private space.
Love it. Okay, so Sarah, I'm putting up the slide, or Aaron, I'm putting up the slide again so you can answer these questions. Try and do number 1 in 1 sentence, and then 2 and 3 in 25 seconds each. Go.
All right. So what I do is I run Aspire Her. It is an annual women's business conference. And who we do it for is for ambitious, driven women looking to connect and looking for resources. So we provide those for them. Let's see, specific digital marketing strategy. God, that's a lot to condense. I will try and be fast. We have blog posts that we use, we promote on Pinterest to bring in traffic that leads them to our email list, and the email list leads to email campaigns. Facebook ads targeting our website, and people have interacted with our website and social media and lookalikes and things like that. We also, the other marketing strategy we use is to use me. I am my ideal customer because I went through the exact same thing we're trying to take our customers through. So
I
I
love
share
it.
my story and I try and be a little bit the face of it.
So Aaron, I'm
And yeah,
gonna
right.
pause you right there if that's okay.
Sure.
You said
Yeah.
like 3 words in a row that I didn't know about until Brandon educated me about them. Facebook lookalike. So Brandon, that's a specific one. Maybe could you share some insight or what your thoughts are on what a Facebook campaign could look like here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I need to understand the product a little bit better.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a connection issue or something, but like I feel like I got the beginning and then the end of the sentence. Could you describe that one more time? What the value is?
Sure, sure. It's an annual women's business conference. So we cater to ambitious, driven women at different stages in their life. I'll expand a little bit that we cater to entrepreneurs, women in careers, and women returning to the workforce after a break. So we bring in speakers and have a conference and provide them with connection with each other, opportunities to network, and resources that they need to succeed.
Understood. Okay, thank you for explaining that again. I mean, I think lookalikes are a great way to do it. I don't know if I'd call a lookalike a strategy necessarily. Facebook ads is one way to do an audience, right? And then there could be a lot more to a strategy. But yeah, but to reaffirm what you said, Taylor, I mean, at this point, probably 80-90% of dollars spent on Facebook ads are spent on either some type of remarketing list or some type of lookalike audience, because you do have this kind of specific person that you're trying to reach, and that could in many ways be on a psychographic level, on a level that Facebook might understand these people, and perhaps more deeply than we could with our own our own layers that we could put on top of it. I think that could be, I agree. I think that could be a great way to do your audience targeting.
Brandon, could you say that one more time? 80 to 90% of dollars spent on Facebook are for lookalike and what?
Or custom audiences, like retargeting people that visit your website. And I don't know that. I just pulled that metric out of thin air. So don't quote me certainly on that. But in my personal experience, the vast majority of spend in digital marketing tends to be spent on those things. There are other audiences as well, and different ones could work better for different types of things. But those, I mean, lookalikes are certainly some of the most powerful audiences if you know how to use them.
How would you go about that, or what would be the first couple of steps that Erin should take in doing either a retargeting of who she's got coming in or a lookalike? Like, what are the first things that you would suggest to her?
Erin, you're already doing this, is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So considering you're already doing it, I think it's always good to do an audit of kind of where are you and where do you need to go with it, right? Hard to give advice without seeing what exactly is going on in that account. But I would say often at this point, when you've been doing this for a little bit, if I had to guess, Erin, you've been doing this for a little bit, but if you're here in this Zoom call, it's probably a fairly an early stage thing, right? It hasn't been going on for more than a few months, I guess.
We had one conference last year, so this will be our second. So we really just started marketing for this year's about January.
Perfect. Well, then I think that's great. Do you have did you do this for the conference last year, or is this new conference the first time you're running social ads?
It's our first in person. We had to move. It was in June, so we had to move it online last year.
Understood. But last year, did you use social ads to drive traffic to the conference, or are you doing that for the first time this year?
We did, but very, very differently. Like you said, this year we're doing retargeting and lookalikes and interest-based. Last year it was a little more bootstrapped, boosting posts and things like that. We also do collaborate with other, social media presences to do giveaways, things like that, to try and increase traffic and notice and awareness.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. I think, honestly, the next step that I would take in your situation would be to take a deep look at what you're doing. I don't know if you have any direct response metrics that you can tie to it. As for what it's producing in terms of ticket sales, I definitely say you want to make sure that you have conversion goals that are aligned with what's valuable for your business, so you can give that feedback to Facebook on what it needs. But really, the next steps would come through digging into that and figuring out where the weaknesses are. There's yeah, it's just hard to say, where the weaknesses could be without taking a look at it.
All right.
Maybe one more quick piece of feedback, Chase, Todd, Brandon, or Sarah, but I want to have one more of the contestants go through the hot seat. Any other suggestions for Aaron?
I'll just say the website looks fantastic. It's the first one that I've come across that the website looks wonderful. I'm just curious, in the local areas, it looks like you have a busy agenda planned as well. Quite a few coming. How many for the upcoming months total?
Well, so for right now, we have a plan in place to start doing monthly smaller workshops, but right now it's just the one event.
Just the one event, okay. So I'm seeing all the other local events, and those are all going to be online. Or am I not looking
which event?
at the right Aspire Women's Events?
That's not it.
That's not it.
My
okay.
website is pretty though.
Okay, I believe you.
Aspire.
I've just been looking at the wrong one. Aspire.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess the bit of feedback would be differentiation to a point. If I did manage to find based on that, so make sure that you're competitive with the group that looks to be very similar. But they do have multiple workshops. It was women's event, local women's events.
Which is what we're planning. We just negotiated a space this month, so now we can start planning events.
Cool. I want to move on to Evelyn Escalona. I know I'm probably not saying that right.
The site does
no,
look
you're
great.
all good. Yeah, that's my real name. But Destiny is my artist name.
Wait,
Yes.
one more time. What is the artist name?
Destiny. So it's actually my middle name.
Okay. So we've got 4 minutes or so. So go quick. Tell us what you do and if you've got a question for the panel.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, sounds good. So my name is Destiny. I'm a local music artist from Salt Lake City, Utah. And, I make music, I create music to inspire others to be their most authentic selves and empower others as well, especially in the younger generation. And, I'm Gen Z, so mostly my market is young adults, teenagers from 18 to 22, 50-50 men and women. And yeah, I'm a Latin artist, so I want to, empower others of color as well. So my specific digital marketing strategy that I will use, for my next song that I'm going to be dropping, with a lot of like marketing like tools is like very different in the music industry. So I've been experimenting. Right now I'm wanting to use this app that's called Quick Place. They mostly help, music artists or influencers. It's like an influencer paid marketing thing. And so I've been wanting to mostly focus on TikTok because TikTok is such a big, has made a big, huge influence on the music industry today. So my marketing strategy, I'm wanting to, pay influencers to use my song and get my music out there. And so, yeah, that's mainly the focus right now.
Awesome. Panel, do you have, so Brandon, Sarah, Todd, Chase, 1 or 2 suggestions on the strategy? It sounded like social is kind of where you're focusing. Is that right?
Yeah, mainly social media, because my market that I'm wanting to target is more the younger generation, and yeah.
Sarah, I'm just thinking that maybe in addition to social, somehow having social push to either a group that she's gathering emails from, or being able to then interact with them on a different platform. Does that make sense in your experience?
So what I was actually thinking, again, when it comes to it, but perhaps an email marketing campaign like wouldn't work right away on this type of thing, though I do think it does. However, having a solid text message market strategy definitely could be implemented. Every one of the critical campaigns that I talked about can and should be used where it is appropriate in a text message form. So I definitely think a strong text message strategy and platform to use would be ideal for you.
Yeah, I've actually heard of I think it's called Community, that helps with, gathering all of those.
There's a
right?
lot of, yes,
Yeah.
there's a lot of them. So we can, yeah, I mean, if you want to talk more offline, I can give you more information about that, but yeah.
So Sarah, to that point, I put your website addresses up in the chat. So Sarah, Todd, Chase, and Brandon, if you want to put your email or contact information, or if you prefer people connecting on LinkedIn, throw a link in there. We're going to have to close up this session now, but we're immediately going to go into the next case study, where Sarah is going to go through more specifically, I think, on the content marketing, email marketing, and kind of story brand execution of how a company should be doing that and the specifics on that. We'll spend the next hour doing that with a case study of a company. The intent is to have everybody just be able to watch a first session with Sarah going through and unpacking the process of marketing a new product. So she's going to be doing that so that you guys can all use that information and then execute exactly the same way that Sarah's going to with the case study company. So I want it to be very organic. You guys can throw questions around and throw questions out while she's doing the presentation and case study, but that's going to be the next hour. Last thing I want to say before this session ends, the other thing that I wanted to do is have everyone take the suggestions in this session and implement them over the next month. And I want to have a session in a month from now that with all the same group here that shows the execution between where you are today and what you've done in the last 30 days. I'll send an email out to everybody kind of going through that competition that Vic was talking about, but that's kind of what I want to do, is be able to say, okay, you've got all of today's sessions that you can draw from, but you've got to execute on that in the next 30 days. So I think our experts have put their contact info in there, and please reach out to them, but we'll have a competition in 30 days saying, okay, who executed on all these principles the best over the last 30 days? So I'm going to